Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Professor A. Welcome back to Childhood Observation as part of your ECE studies, Early Childhood Education with Collège Canada. So let's recap where we left off last week. What is childhood observation? Childhood observation in ECE, Early Childhood Education, is a process of tracking student behavior over time. By creating detailed documentation, educators are able to notice patterns and assess how each child is developing, right? So what we mean by that is as you get familiar as an educator and in the childcare setting, as you get familiar with your students, with your children that are in your care, you will notice their patterns. You will notice what triggers them. You will notice their moods and get familiar with their behaviors, their character. When they're sad, when they're upset, when they're hungry, when they're happy and excited. So really, observation is the foundation to childhood development. We need this in order to help assess and aid children in their developmental growth, right? So that's why observation is so important and why we're here today. Let's continue. Why do we observe children's development? Why do you think? We just said it. Again, to help them develop, to help them grow. You don't think that you just became an adult and just knew all these things, did you? No. I mean, you had to learn these things. You had to develop these skills and character traits over time. And that came from being a child all the way to where you are now. And that came from somebody else observing you, guiding you, directing you, and helping you become your authentic self, right? So, observing the children in your care can help you to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of each individual child. Your observations can then guide your programming and help you make adjustments to your care environment to improve a child's behavior and facilitate their learning. Sometimes when you're teaching, it may not be as effective as how you thought it would be, right? Not everybody learns the same way. We have children who learn through visual, through auditory stimulation. Some are hands-on learners, right? So there's many different types of learners. And so you need to be able to adapt yourself to all types of learners as well as adapt yourself to the various stages of a child's development. With 6 to 9 children in your care between the ages of 11 months to 5 years old, you're going to have many different characters. So not everyone is going to gravitate towards your activities the same way as another child will. So you have to really become familiar with your children and their characters in order to facilitate their growth, right? Little Johnny learns differently from little Stephanie, right? Little Deepender might enjoy playing with trains and enjoys transportation, whereas little Rupinder likes to play soccer, right? So how can we engage the two? How can we get them to learn different things when we know that they predominantly like to play with certain toys or certain games, right? Include those games. Include those toys in your teaching. You have to adapt yourself to your children in order to get them to learn and to make learning fun, right? Use their strengths, right? Use their likes, basically. So it's really important through observation to get familiar with your children and find out what they like in order to really get through to them. All right, so let's continue. Let's talk about tracking a child's progress. All right, so once you start observation in the early childhood education setting, you'll be able to monitor the progress of each child's development over time. Now, this is very important because, again, since you spend so much time with these children, right, about 9 hours a day, it's up to you to report back to the parents and let them know, how their child is progressing. Where are they on the developmental scale? What are their milestones? What have they achieved? Are they counting? Are they adding? Multiplication? Are they running? Are they into sports? Are they good at drawing, painting? What are their likes and dislikes? Are they able to express themselves? Are they able to say what they want? Are they potty trained? So many things. And that is really all your responsibility because you spend the most time with them. So in order for them to practice what they're learning at school, at home, you need to be able to report back to the parents and let them know what's going on so they can also be included in the learning process, right? So how do you think you'd be able to document everything that you are observing in a child? Do you just keep it up here? Would that be a bit difficult? I mean, if you have 6 to 9 children in your care, ages 11 months to 5, little Rupender's crying right now, Johnny's playing with the ball, little Stephanie is going in the bathroom, she's having a poo-poo in her diaper. Like, how do you observe all this and document it at the same time, right? You need to be able to track their progress. And I promise you, as you get familiar with your children and as you get familiar with early childhood education, it will come easy. You will be able to know how to organize and control your classroom in order to adapt yourself to observe and also track the progress or just track the information that every child is doing, even though they may all be doing things at different times in a different, they may all be doing different things at the same time, right? It does get easier, trust me. All right? So, some of the most important skills, or should I say skill categories that we would observe in children's development and to track their progress would include, we're looking at their cognitive development, right? When we say cognitive, we're thinking of stimulation of the mind, right? Their capacity to think, their thought process, problem solving, right? Cognitive development. We're also looking at their social adaptability, right? Their social skills, right? A lot of children may come maybe the only child in their family. So therefore, they're not always around other children. Daycare is actually their first time where they're around other little people just like themselves, right? So we definitely want to build on their social skills and help them develop that. So as they grow, they are more comfortable being around other children and other people and are able to adapt themselves in a social setting and act accordingly, right? Also, we're looking at the physical aspect, right? So gross motor skills, fine motor skills, right? Gross motor skills being running, jumping, climbing, playing sports, throwing a ball, catching a ball, all those things that involve your gross motor parts of your body. So your legs, your arms, those things that we do naturally that sometimes we may take for granted as to thinking we just somehow magically knew how to do it. No, you learned that, right? You as a child saw someone else doing it and wanted to emulate them. And then so you started doing what they were doing, right? Walking, from crawling to walking to then running, right? So we want to see where they are in their development in terms of physical skills. In terms of fine motor skills, it's more a question of, can they hold a fork? Can they hold the paintbrush? Are they able to hold a pencil? I mean, we write every day, right? How did you learn to write? If you really think about it, how did you learn how to properly hold a pencil or a pen and write? Okay, so this is what we're looking at, right? This is what we're helping them to develop. These things don't just magically appear. We kind of forget about them as we grow, as we become adults and become responsible for so many other things that we forget the foundation, how we actually came to be, right? How we learned these things. It all started with early childhood education. And also language. We want to develop their vocabulary. Are they able to discuss their needs, express their needs? Are they able to speak properly and articulate what they desire? As well as, what's the vocabulary count? Is a 2-year-old, how many words is a 2-year-old saying, right? How many words do they know? You know, they start off with mama and dada, but what else can they say? What are they trying to convey to us? What is the message they are trying to get to us for us to understand them? Okay? And as well, emotionally, right? We want to see their emotional development. Are they able to let us know that they're sad, that they're upset, that they're happy, right? If you see little Tommy sitting in the corner, why is he sitting in the corner? What's he doing over there? Is he sad? Why is he sad? You know? So we need to know if they're where they are emotionally in terms of their emotional development. A lot of kids may act out where they will bite another child, right? Because again, first time in a social interaction, they don't know how to control their angst. So they will lash out, and the first thing they're going to do is either bite or hit. So it's up to us to monitor that, to observe that, and to find out what the triggers are to make them do that, as well as help them develop other ways to curb their anger or their frustration, right? So the emotional scale is very important in terms of development as well. So that's it for now in that aspect. We are going to go and talk about 10 tips to help you become effective observers in the ECE environment. All right? See you soon.